Now, where were we? Ah, yes, we were in the middle of, they sent an assassin after somebody for breaking courtroom property 10 years after the fact. Isn't the whole premise of the Reaper absurd? Killing those who have been found innocent? Clearly, the rules by which the man operates are beyond a sane person's comprehension. But... What? I've had just about enough of this. Gina? All this nonsense about the boss planning to kill people is cobblers. Come on, Otto. Yeah? Why ain't you saying nothing? Why ain't you yelling out objection or something? What? You've got to find a flaw. You do, usually. Someone's lying here, no question. You've got to work out who it is. Please, for the boss. That outburst was an insult to the court and to your own testimony. I might have known that a common pickpocket from the back slums couldn't make a detective. When this trial is over, you will forfeit your warrant card, Miss Lestrade. Is that clear? I've had it with a lot of you. It's Lee's. It's Lee's. It's lies every breeding place you look in this world, isn't it? Well, I've had enough. Gina. So have I. After that little speech of Gina's, I've made up my mind. To do what, Mr. Naruhodo? There was one point in this cross-examination when something that was said just didn't sit right with me. One statement that seemed odd. Oh, do you mean? I'm not going to let Gina's plea for help fall on deaf ears. Find the flaw. Find what flaw? I want to thank you, Gina. You helped me find my resolve. That's the name of the game. Eh? What do you mean? Amongst everything we've heard during this cross-examination, there's one thing that defies explanation. One inconsistency. What? An inconsistency? Really, Otto? I don't quite know what it means yet, but... Yes, there's an inconsistency in something that was said by... where is the back button? Where is the I don't know button? Where is the history of all things that were said? Something Cosmo said? Like, there's no saving anyone who faces the Reaper because some people did get away with it. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Kazuma as the liar.
Take that!
I was right. By you, Kazuma Asugi. Me? Is this some attempt at filibustering, Counsel? Prosecutor Asugi has given no testimony. What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? You let something slip that you shouldn't have. When I present the relevant piece of evidence, I imagine you'll realize what you've done, and so will Hitan. Very well then, Counsel. Go ahead. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency in something Prosecutor Asugi has said? We need something that has something to do with, I hope, people getting away with, stuff? It's not that. Oh, this is Gregson. Gregson's autopsy. Did he? No, he got convicted. It was just the getting put to death that was odd. All right, so maybe I'm wrong. The thing that I thought that it was is that he said, "Oh, the Reaper goes after everyone who is found, everyone, whether they're found innocent or guilty, he makes sure they get their justice." Old photographic print. What was on here again? It's all just about the Red-Headed League. Doesn't help us. I mean, the fact that Gregson was killed, like that he never went to court. You don't kill people who haven't been to court. Is that it? I can't really go back to see exactly what he said. No. Not anymore. Too late now. Or is it that it's inconsistent with, like, the thing that he always said about, oh, there's something I came to England to do? Right, yeah, that whole thing. Like, whether you're found innocent or guilty by the court, you know, he'll go and kill someone who is found innocent, because if you go up against the Reaper, you will be punished, either by the court or by him later. That's the supposed thing. But that there are people, like, we know that there are people who haven't, like Gina, and like, Soseki. But I don't have any evidence that says anything about those. If I could present either one of them, that would help. What evidence reveals this alleged inconsistency in something Prosecutor Asugi has said? This thing was hidden, right? This was like... This wasn't carried out. This was stashed in a filing cabinet somewhere. I am out of ideas. I'm out of ideas that make sense. I have one idea that doesn't make sense, which is the last will and testament. Because
Take that!
So, my initial impressions were correct. This is nonsense. Ah! You accuse your best friend and back it up with that? Clearly. The Ryunosuke Naruhodo I knew is dead! Oh, I'm a ghost. Okay. Struck down by my best friend. I believe what you intended to point out, Mr. Naruhodo, was when Kazuma said... Because at the time he was making his way to the steam... Oh, okay, something completely different. Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Oh, is it like, how did you know it would be there? Okay. I take it from your expression that you're not going to let this go. Correct, my lord. I made a mistake. That's all Machigateru. Are you suggesting What are you suggesting I said that was inconsistent? So is it this, or is it probably either one of them works? This.
Take that!
This is a trunk that belonged to Inspector Gregson. A metal construction, is it? It's certainly very heavy. What's this? A blood stain, and a relatively fresh one, too. What? You mean that ain't grease from all the boss's fish and chips? Fresh blood on the inspector's trunk. That suggests that the victim was traveling with that luggage when he was killed. That can't be. There was no mention of any trunk in Scotland Yard's report. Yes, there's a reason for that. Immediately after the inspector's body was discovered, one of the street peddlers made off with the trunk, hoping to sell it. But I found it, made with my nose for trouble. Which means that nobody should have known anything about the trunk. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody who was present when the victim was killed. And yet, during the cross-examination of the witness just now, you said this, Kazuma. Because at the time, he was making his way to the steamship docked on the northern coast of France, as shown by the passport found in the victim's metal trunk. Did I not mention where I had found it? So the question is, how did you know about the inspector's trunk? We know the man went on a trip to France. Where else would he have put his passport? But you knew it was a metal trunk. Answer me honestly, Kazuma. On 31st October, where exactly were you? Were you doing some moitering? At the port of Dunkirk, on board the SS Grouse. Is that the answer you're looking for, Ryunosuke? Kazuma, what did you... I hadn't considered the possibility before, but if Kazuma was there on the ship, then it could only have been for one purpose. Oh no! Mr. Naruhodo, surely you don't think... Come on, Ryunosuke, you know the rules. And so do I. The only thing that really talks in the courtroom is hard evidence. As I understand it, Inspector Gregson always took that case with him when he traveled. So as it stands, you've proved nothing. Kazuma, are you challenging me to prove it beyond all reasonable doubt? That you were there that day in the same place as the inspector? Take that! Just look at your shoulder. There's an indentation. A bloody indentation, the same shape as the trunk where it fell on you. He was there with Gregson. There's a clue that you've overlooked, a secret that trunk can tell us. I can't be sure at this point. I'll need to verify it. But I have a nasty feeling that I'm going to be right. The accusation being made is deeply disturbing, but nevertheless we must test it. Do I have to inspect the trunk again? There was a gash on it. Through the leather and into the metal behind. Gosh, for this to have been damaged so badly. What is it? Was it a sword? A sword strike? Tamesh Kiritsu? The defense will identify for the court where in the trunk this alleged clue is to be found. Is it he's the only person in the world who has a sword?
Got it.
This is your proof. What do you say to that, Prosecutor Asugi? Personally, I think tying the defense counsel to the inspector's trunk and tossing it into the sea would be more helpful. What? At least that way, London's courtrooms will be safe from his destructive accusations. I believe that was a rather long-winded way of telling you that you're wrong, Mr. Naruhodo. Very well. Then let us see if you sink or swim under the weight of this penalty, counsel. Ugh! Mr. Naruhodo, you can't allow yourself to be drowned at sea yet? I was hoping never to let that happen, funnily enough. Okay, so if it's not the sword mark... What else even is... I mean, it's either the blood stain or the sword mark, and I already tried the sword. Or it's the passport itself.
Got it.
Okay, so it's not the blood either. Is it like the passport is in here, therefore he knew?
Got it.
That is not it either. But there are only 3 items of interest. Do I have to open the case and then look at the sword strike from the inside? Like, this is the proof that it was open at the... Let me examine it first. There's something stuck to the side of the trunk there. It's glinting. It looks like a What? It's wedged in so tightly I can't remove it. Well, don't cut yourself. You'd better leave it, I think. Wait. Oh, there's... Okay, that's not the same thing as that.
Got it.
It's a pixel hunt if I've ever seen one. There's a small piece of metal lodged in the wall of the trunk, like the tip of a blade. A blade? Kazuma, slung around your waist as ever today is the esteemed blade Karuma. Of course it is. Won't you draw it here in this courtroom for all to see? Don't do it, it's bad luck, like opening an umbrella. Exercise caution, my learned friend. That man is the son of London's most notorious killer. Bailiff, watch Prosecutor Asugi like a dove, hawks for emphasis. That won't be necessary. I move too fast for the bailiffs to see. Dawn! Oh no! The tip is broken. If the fragment of metal from the trunk fits together with the end of the sword, the question of who was there with Inspector Gregson will be answered. Agreed, Kazuma Asugi. Expertly done, Ryunosuke. That's a point to you, and well deserved. Do you mean to tell the court, Prosecutor Asogi? Yes, on 31st October, I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk in order to carry out a mission. So the additional person authorized to travel was me. And the mission was the assassination of the Mark. What? What? You mean you're the killer whose name was omitted from this notebook? And you're admitting it? Do you want a lawyer or something? Because it seems like that would be a good idea. I'm just saying. You were following the Reaper's orders to dispatch Judge Jigoku? Let me make one thing perfectly clear. I have killed no one. Explain. I accepted the assassination mission, yes, and I accompanied Gregson to Dunkirk, but I never had any intention of carrying out the plan. You were never going to do it? We can believe Kazuma-sama, I'm sure. After all, Judge Jigoku arrived safely in London the following day. On the 31st, I boarded a train from London with Inspector Gregson. We traveled to Dover, from where we crossed the Channel to Dunkirk. Then we boarded the SS Grouse and made for the cabin deck, as indicated in the plan. You went to Judge Jigoku's cabin? Exactly. He wasn't there, though. We decided to wait, but you've already told us you had no intention of going through with it anyway. I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning. A boarding house in Dunkirk? My signature will be in the register book. It would be simple enough to verify. Then, what became of Jigoku? Gregson was no assassin, so the mark was spared. I'm sure it's easy enough to imagine what happened after that. Gregson returned to England as well, having failed to complete the mission. He met with the Reaper in that room on Fresno Street to report the failure, causing the infuriated mastermind to pull the trigger and end his wretched agent's life. That's the real truth behind Inspector Gregson's murder.
Objection!
But if you did nothing as you claim, then how did the tip of your sword come to be lodged in the inspector's trunk? I don't need to answer that. The victim was killed by a gunshot. A small fragment of a Japanese blade isn't relevant to the case. And accordingly, I choose to exercise my right to silence on that matter. Be that as it may, the court will sequester the sword as evidence. As you wish, my lord. The great sword Karuma has been entered into the court record. It broke, though. We must take immediate action now to verify whether Seishiro Jigoku remains unharmed. What? Remains unharmed? I agree. That should be our first priority. It's recently come to my attention that he hasn't been seen since yesterday. How did you... When a foreign dignitary invited to Great Britain goes missing for 24 hours, it's only natural that the question of his safety should arise. You don't mean to say... You think Judge Jigoku may have been killed? The Reaper has more than one assassin at his disposal. He has the power and influence to give orders from the inside of a prison cell. Isn't that right, Lord Von Zeeks? If I were truly the Reaper, I'd be able to tell you. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Order. Order in the court. We will take an emergency recess for 30 minutes. Now? Guests of the symposium have been told to maintain regular contact with the organizer's office. If the man can't be located within half an hour, we will have to assume the worst. Oh no, not Judge Jigoku! No one would want to kill a harmless Japanese man who'd only just arrived in the country. Except for murderers. For the Reaper, wanting to finish off a mark that slipped through the net 10 years ago. I would have to agree. Mr. Naruhodo, for the defense's sake. My lord? I sincerely hope we are successful. If we are unable to confirm Mr. Jigoku's healthy existence in the next 30 minutes, we will face grave difficulties. Ah! Court is adjourned for 30 minutes. That's how murder charges work. You go, we couldn't find this guy. He's definitely dead, and you definitely killed him, even if there's no evidence. Kazuma-sama, the Reaper's assassin. I feel as though I'm in a nightmare. I can hardly believe it either. But on the other hand, Kazuma isn't in the habit of making up stories. Maybe he acquired that habit. He had nothing better to do, so he became a storyteller. I have such a terrible sense of foreboding. If something awful has happened to Judge Jigoku, then I feel as though things will only spiral further and further out of control. I felt it from the moment I stepped into the courthouse this morning. That strange sensation that we were careering. Surely you mean careening. Can career be used as a verb in such a manner? We're gonna find out. Setting this... Career, to run or move rapidly along. Go at full speed. I don't know about that. I think it would be just as correct, and certainly more correct, to say that we were careening towards a foregone conclusion. Careering as a verb. What are you talking about, game? Careering. Never in all my life, never in all my omnibus, have I seen the word career used thusly. Well, in the worst case, we might only have 30 minutes left to live. And then we are assaulted by fireballs. Unfortunately, though, I don't think there's anything we can do but wait now. We're out of options. Actually, there may be one last hand we can play. You mean one last ear we can play? Oh, she said what I just said. Or rather, one last ear. Of course! The little Mr. Sholmes doll that Iris gave us. If for some reason you completely run out of options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. Perhaps now is the time. What should I do? Pull Hurley's ears or not? Nah, I'll get a game over. This is one of Iris's inventions. There's no telling what might happen. For all I know, it could cause a huge explosion. I'm not sure you should be thinking like that, Mr. Naruhodo. Compared to the trial ending immediately after this recess, a huge explosion might be preferable. Now you're thinking like the mad midnight bomber what bombs at midnight. Not sure you should be thinking like that, Mr. Sato. But I suppose you're right. If there was ever a time for taking a risk, it's right now. Here goes then. I'm gonna do it. Good luck, Mr. Naruhodo, she said while getting behind cover. No looking back. Heave! I mean, yoisho! Ow! Said somebody. That scream sounded like Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? Here, my dear fellow, here. It's the felt doll talking. Pull the ears again, Mr. Naruhodo, as hard as you can. Alright then. Put all my strength into it. Yoisho! Please, my dear fellows, you don't need to pull my ear off. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? Myself and my trusty partner are presently in the first-class cabin of the SS Grouse. The SS Grouse? She left Dover last night after the final pieces of cargo were loaded. We are currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. You've taken a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the Straits of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station and by train to the port, in order to board this vessel in time. So, you mean you'd already worked it out? That the steamship was where everything really took place? Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name? Herlock Sholmes, world-famous great detective? Recited to perfection. Well done. You're a genius, Mr. Sholmes. That's the only word for it. Ow, ow, ow. Miss Susanto, gently with this genius's ear, please. Oh my, I'm ever so sorry. If I may, Sholmes... Ah, there you are, Mikotoba. You may remember that it was in fact I who made the connection to the SS Grouse at Scotland Yard yesterday when we examined that notebook and I recalled my steamship ticket. But of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I controvert that fact. I merely had our court-bound companions utter my name. Yes, you did, didn't you? We've just entered a recess. The trial resumes in 30 minutes from now. And if we're unable to present any leads... If we're unable to present any leads, then... New leads, then, I'm afraid to say... Do not fret, please. It's for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt we shall have welcome news for you within the half hour. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That would be wonderful. Also, if you could please share with the world this wireless telegram technology where we can just talk to you instantaneously while you're hundreds of miles away. Until later, then. Yes, you'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first. Ow, ow, ow. I shan't be hearing anything if you keep tugging my ear in that mindless fashion. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operated it that way in the first place, Sholmes? Why the deuce would I know? It's Iris's invention, not mine. Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes, we have but half that now before the Grouse puts to sea again. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long. There are times, Mikotoba, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So, let us begin. And then we had an investigation in the middle of the trial. Thanks to a walkie-talkie. Alright. First class cabin number 2. Yes, this is the one. But I don't believe an investigation of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. That crewman standing in front of the door is an angry-looking fellow. Why are you loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a world-famous great detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? Wait, why does it say Sholmes? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor... Chicken Stroganoff when you see. Was the other guy's name Beef Stroganoff and this guy's Chicken? Great detective. I don't think so. Do you see that, Mikotoba? It would appear that this man is a devoted follower of mine. Goodness me, is that a tattoo? that says Sholmes. I must say, while such adoration is flattering, naturally, it does leave me a little... Oh, it's him. I must say, whilst such adoration is flattering, naturally, it does leave me a little cold. What are you talking about? Leave now. How distressing. My loyal devotee knows me only by my name and not by appearance. And yet, I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he is a shipman, currently traveling the world, aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Makotoba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard this ship, you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jigoku. There is no one with this name on board. But we know that he purchased a ticket for passage. You mean Eastern man. He left ship 2 hours ago. Here at Dunkirk, he says something about emergency, I think. What? Are you sure? So Seishiro's realized we're after him, has he? His cabin is the one behind you. We should like to investigate, please. Niet. I have orders not to let even mouse inside. Makotoba, be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area. Doesn't great detective see that even sailors have ears, both left and right? Curses! The plan is ruined. And you have only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Sholmes. Forget it. Cabin door is locked. Only if ship tilt 4 degrees starboard will all doors on ship spontaneously unlock. This, I suppose, is not the same ship that we were on, but they are all built to code. So, 4-degree tilt unlocks all the doors. Even if I am not here, you cannot get inside. Makotoba, I'm sure you haven't forgotten about my special talent, have you? Opening any lock within a mere 5 seconds. So, if you'd be so kind as to afford me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner. How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? So I need to distract that burly sailor for 5 seconds, do I? Good man. So, the game is afoot. This must be a mousetrap, I think. Perhaps I could distract the crewman's attention with this somehow. Yeah, go for it. Choo choo! Sound like big mouse in trap. Choo choo! I will bring bucket of water later and put out of misery. I don't like the sound of that. In any case, my dear fellow, that was quite unconvincing. Only Japanese mice make a chew sound. Really, Sholmes? And pray tell, what sound do Russian mice make? PP, naturally, though also quite unconvincing, I readily admit. So go ahead, Makotoba, do a PP this time. No, thank you. I'm sure I can come up with an alternative solution. Ding, ding, ding. I touch it. I touch the button. This would appear to be an alarm bell. All hell would break loose if that thing were to ring. The whole crew would know about it. Here goes then. Pardon me in advance. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. You, what are you doing? If we were at sea, that would be very bad problem. What's going on down there? Simon Stroganoff, report at once. Sorry, sir, nothing to report. It was just stupid trick. No, not by me, by world famous... Niet, as I told you. Now, Sholmes, now! Done. Not even 5 seconds, eh? Well, don't stand there gawping at my brilliance, Mikotoba. In we go. Oh, yes. Stop gawping, boy. We must run. Okay, he's inside the suitcase. Just open it. He's in there. Good gracious. It would appear that the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. These clothes on the floor there, they're Seishiro's, without question. Well, it seems we are just a little too late. Yes, by about 2 hours. Still, whilst we're here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours' worth of clues to find in here. But that burly crewman may return at any moment, Sholmes. Indeed he may, which makes this all the more thrilling. If I can lock the door, duh. Cha-chink. All the doors on this vessel have locks, I believe. A wise idea. You never know where and when criminals may strike. But of course, to the great detective Sherlock Sholmes, lock, bolt, or shirt button, it makes no difference. All are unfastened with equal ease. The way you go on, you sound rather more like a great thief than a great detective. My dear Mikotoba, as long as there is greatness, I am quite satisfied. Ha! Of course you are. What has been taken off the wall? The wall is a slightly different color just here, do you see? Indeed. What you have observed arises when a frame that has been hanging for some time is removed. Perhaps your friend is an art thief. Now there's a bold deduction worthy of a great detective, I'm sure. He may very well be the elusive thief who's been plaguing France's galleries of late. I think perhaps we should focus our attentions elsewhere, Sholmes, don't you? It's true, they do. That outline on the wall, I feel as though I might have spotted something of a similar shape and size elsewhere. Bonk. These are the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Additionally, there are severe punishments for stowing away in wardrobes and or travel cases. I feel the rules have increased since last I read them. Probably just my imagination. What about the fact that they're not straight on the wall? Doesn't that strike you? You may be right. Probably just your imagination, though. A trifle. Do you know what I always say, Mikotoba? There is nothing important about trifles. It's probably just my imagination, but I think that might be slightly off. Plenty of reading material to keep passengers occupied on long sea voyages. I found the mixture of classic literature and easy reading to be most satisfactory, I must say. Whoever stocked this bookcase was a hopeless heretic. There's no copy of the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, my dear fellows. I'm afraid it's just me, but no, you're quite right. More blasphemous than overlooking the Bible. I shall leave a copy behind. I just happen to have one with me. You're a true missionary of the Church of Great Detectives, aren't you? Alright. Open suitcase. Combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a very sizable trunk indeed. Seishiro is partial to all things large, and a rather clumsy fellow if he failed to notice he'd left that behind. Perhaps he left it on purpose. It's lighter than you might think, but still a hindrance to No, that was Mikotoba. Still a hindrance to a speedy escape. Pity. It's locked, so we can't look inside. Surely 5 seconds from now the situation will be quite different, though. Sadly not. It is a 7-digit combination lock. And I'm not in a morose enough mood to work through all the combinations at present. According to the report I was giving, Naruhodo was concealing himself in Asugi's wardrobe. Indeed he was, and it was of a similar size to this one. You must climb inside yourself, my dear fellow. What? Whatever for? It was the site of my first fateful meeting with Mr. Naruhodo. You can experience the moment for yourself now, complete with my dramatic rhetoric. Come along now, in you go. This will only take a moment. Really, Sholmes, surely you can just tell me what you said. Well, I uttered some brilliant remark and opened the wardrobe to reveal the stowaway murderer. I think I'll just read about it in the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. What is this stuffed into the thing? There's a speaking tube here, look, though it's been stoppered with some cloth. So the voices of the crewmen on the bridge aren't an annoyance, I suppose. Or, indeed, so that the voices in this cabin aren't heard elsewhere. Could something have happened in here that was for no one else's ears, do you think? Either that, or it could be to prevent snakes from entering. It's really become a favorite case of yours, hasn't it? Quite the exquisite glass, I must say. See here, how it... Is something wrong, Sholmes? You suddenly trailed off. Why hasn't this ice melted? Ice, Makotoba, ice. What opulence the first-class passengers enjoy. Chilled drinks. Pardon? Could it be that this steamship is equipped with an electrically refrigerated cold room, do you think? Well, it is a luxury liner, after all. They have enormous refrigerators for storing all sorts of lavish produce, as well as ice. On our voyage from Japan, we enjoyed culinary delights from all over the world. Oh, so if Gregson was killed on here, he could have been refrigerated in order to throw off the time of death. I see. Suddenly, Makotoba, the sight of you is making my mouth water. I haven't taken on the flavor of the food I ate, you know. That's a substantial heap of clothes on the floor. An overcoat, shirts, a dressing gown, momihiki work trousers, a tanzen robe, a haramaki waistband. Clearly the clothing of a Japanese man. And clearly Japanese men are unaccustomed to the culture of the wardrobe. It looks to me as if they've been thrown in a heap like that in something of a hurry. Indeed, you could help yourself to a Japanese man's shirt, perhaps. I'm sure you made mention of packing too few. I'd very likely drown in one of Seshiro's shirts. No, I'll just buy any extras I need, I think. Isn't that everything? Trash can. This is the waste paper basket, look, and there's still rubbish inside. Indeed, then let us pry. I've discovered recently I have a penchant for exploring the contents of others' waste paper baskets. I sincerely hope only for your work. Ah. Here, we have a notice issued to passengers from 3 days ago. 3 days ago? The night before we arrived in London, then, when I was still aboard myself. Evacuation drill notice. Whoops, too fast. Ah yes, there was an evacuation drill, I remember now. For our safety and security, all first-class passengers were constantly under the watchful eye of the crew, so it was a welcome relief to have some privacy for once. I locked that, sir. You are still here. Ah, Abel Seaman Stroganoff, hello again. I was beginning to think you'd never materialize. Eh? You are waiting for me? Of course. I was expecting you to burst in with a hearty Russian profanity far sooner. I was in trouble with Captain because of trick you played before. Poor innocent chicken. It is all your fault. Ship is leaving port soon. Get off, now. Of course, we shall disembark presently, my dear fellow, but first, there is something that must be done. What are you talking about? Why, naturally, the debunking of your deceit and the bearing of the truth. Kekoi! I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Mr. Jigoku has not yet left this vessel at all. Ugh! And for another, my dear Seaman Stroganoff, you know exactly where the man is, even as we speak, don't you? How can you? Good gracious, Sholmes, you mean you've worked it out? All of it? It's really been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. So, would you care to join me for a dance of my inimitable logic and reasoning? Nothing would please me more. What is this? We have but minutes until the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Time is of the essence. Mr. Stroganoff, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jigoku left the ship some 2 hours ago. Duh, that is what I said. Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What? Ah, yes, of course. I see you've noted it too, Mikotoba. Then please, do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked 2 hours ago? Let's see what the last 3 years have done to... 3 years? Why not 10? What? Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observational skills then, Mikotoba. It's been 10 years since we last did this, Sholmes, not 3. Why, of course it has, quite. Now, all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But as I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe, and the answers become clear. So, impress me. I think I can manage that. It's the ice.
Take that!
Take that! Really now? Perhaps you should have cleared away that glass. How curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With this well-chilled glass in hand. Get your mind off the refreshments, Sholmes. One might even conclude that someone informed him of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff? But why would Seshiro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan? Ah, that's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door, and Seshiro was, yes, 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage. As I suspected, for you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jigoku had to hide. What traces? I know nothing about this. Ah, this is news to you, is it, Mr. Stroganoff? Sholmes, what exactly are you getting at? As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm sure wouldn't have escaped your notice. Something out of place in here? That's the key to this, Miko... Oh, That's the key to this, Mikotoba. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. I must say, I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikotoba. No, quite. But life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Now then, let's see if I can't uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. Is he talking about the mark on the wall, I guess? If he said remnants of the dark, like, I was gonna say the sock and the whatever, but let's say mark on the wall.
Take that!
Nope. Mikotoba, no games now were my words, were they not? Come, Sholmes, where's the fun in life without a little fooling around, That's right. Propagable, what is the fun in life if I have to get everything right on the first try on purpose? Quite right you are. That was a close shave. I'd better rethink that before I'm the fool here. You must tilt your head to one side and listen carefully to the faint cries of the scene. Hear the evidence calling out for you to find it. Here I am, it cries. Well, your methods were never conventional, but I've always been willing to give them a try. Dear God, Mikotoba, open your eyes. It was a metaphorical listening that I was suggesting. Alright, so is it the rules of passage, or the remnants of the dark deed that took place in here? Both of these things are very suspicious. We go with this.
Take that!
Yeah. It's the rules of passage in this frame. They're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the wall, as if they were put there in a hurry. Yes, as I'm sure you've already concluded, that frame was originally over there. The size and shape are a perfect match. Duh, you are right. When did frame move? Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganov? I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. Oh dear, that really seemed to touch a nerve. So, Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall? That looks like a bullet hole. But who has been shooting walls? I see the projectile has been removed. Clearly, the careful occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganov. Ugh! I have the distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant. I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I protect Eastern stranger? Ah, so we're talking about the same man, I see. Good. Ugh. Nothing personnel. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time, aren't you? Because there's some very noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man. Yes, you've been told to keep up this pretense as clearly shown by... I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. Ah, my dear Mikotoba, simply keep first principles in mind. Study your subject from every angle, and I'm quite sure that you'll see it. In fact, I'd put a wager on it. Gamba? So I'm to glare at the fellow from all sides? Well, I can certainly do that. Ah, a lot of bills in the back pocket. I see. It's almost too obvious for words. Even Schubinator was able to see it. Quite. The universal language of the world. Money. Ah. And I'd wager that the Eastern fellow in question is Seishiro Jigoku, yes? Good! So, I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin. The way you're going, sir... It is a tiny shirt, I agree. The way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But... I believe you know, Mr. Stroganov. You know where Mr. Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. As always, Mikotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Sholmes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor. We need only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. The slightest flicker of the pupils, a minutely delayed blink. Nothing escapes my attention, even that which is barely perceptible. You could hardly call this barely perceptible, Sholmes. The man's turned his entire head. It's not exactly what you'd describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. I shall let your tapping toes decide, my dear fellow. He is in the garbage. I don't think he's in the garbage. But that is what he's looking at.
Take that!
Mikotoba. No games. Okay. So, you really think he's hiding in here as we speak? Curled up in a ball at this very moment. But as I said earlier, we've no time for games today. No, I quite understand. I'll make this as quick as I can. Seaman Stroganoff will be suffering neck fatigue before long, I should think. So, in here, then.
Take that!
It really looked like he was... They made it look like he was pointing... He was looking at the waste paper basket. You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? The truth is, Seishiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time. And is, at this very moment, doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. I imagine he didn't count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? Are you forgetting about the combination, Mark? We don't know the 7-digit code. Oh, is it not digits? It's letters, and the combination is Sholmes. The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Of course. In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. As I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganoff. Well, no, I know nothing about combination code. Oh, if you look at it upside down, it's actually numbers. It's 5231045. That's cute. That's a cute puzzle. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman. Oh? Oh, that's such a good puzzle. I mean, they're not gonna, I don't know. We'll see what they do. Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? How on earth do you expect me? It's a 7-digit number, remember? Quickly now, we have little time. 5231045. Yeah, they just want me to point at it. Oh no, they don't. 523. 10.
Take that!
I thought they would make me do less work than that, just like point at the arm. But no, we had a genuine Danganronpa where numbers, letters upside down were actually numbers. That did it. It's open. You had to meddle, didn't you? Down. Well, Eugen, you found me now. Or no, he's got the judge's voice. You found me now, Seishiro. I was really hoping behind hope not to find you here, you know. But you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it. No, quite. I just wish it were some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I've read stories of many of your exploits. Excuse my manner, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. The devil is in the details, Mikotoba. I meant think... Wait, what did he say? My old friend and traveling companion. What? Oh, he's gonna say something else. He's trailing off. The devil is in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour. I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Seishiro, are you going to explain all this? You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life, here on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey? Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it? I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you. It's somewhat surprising, I must say. What is? Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket and here I am. I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in this cabin. So you'd already purchased your return ticket before we even docked in Dover, had you? To prevent anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence, is that it? Eugen, I have nothing to say to you. Well, in a mere 5 minutes this ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once. Oh, you have no jurisdiction over my movements. And there's no fringe on that flag. We have this, Seishiro. Take it. What is it? It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from the British courts would be. 0 once he's in Japan. There's no extradition treaty between those two countries. Or is there? You came prepared then, Eugen. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, Sholmes? Inside Mr. Jigoku's trunk, I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that? Seishiro? I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something. But what? I have no idea. The look on his face, I think he genuinely doesn't know. Well, let us pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France. Looks like part of the stopwatch? Could be. Well, young Naruhodo, I think we've done as much as we can, I'm afraid. The rest will be on the shoulders of you and your assistant. Alright. I think we're probably good to save right there, and then if that puts us... We'll probably be able to finish this on Saturday. Famous He-10 last words. Oh, I think we only have one more stream of this, but, you know, it's not like these games are that unpredictable. We probably really are. Right? The trial's not going to go on to an additional day, I don't think. We've got plenty of evidence. I think we'll probably finish this on Saturday. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. More of this on Saturday, and then I don't know what I'll do next week. I had plans to maybe start Tunic, or maybe do something else. Don't quite know. Don't know. We'll figure it out little by little. Alright, so thank you everybody. Have a great night.